Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd also like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi, which we have amended to include Gary Lineker's sacking by the BBC. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. Given the controversial ending to the Italian GP, when runaway championship leader Oscar, who was running in second, was ordered to switch places with his lagging teammate, as the supposedly uncompetitive Max swept to victory while setting the fastest lap ever in F1 history, it is clear that McLaren have committed to sabotaging the Aussies' procession to the world title, to fulfill Liberty Media's desire for a closer title run-in, and some manufactured controversy, to supposedly generate public interest. Why Oscar's hard-fought battle to win the title is not good enough to speak for the sport says everything about what Formula One is devolving into. This is carrying on from Abu Dhabi 2021, when F1 made it clear that they were not prepared to just let the drivers race fairly and live with the outcome. They have been manipulating races ever since then to suit whatever their ulterior motives might be at the expense of the sport's integrity. Back then, they claimed they wanted one last lap of racing to decide the title, so they took the opportunity to rig the finale to what was already the most contentious and tightest title race in F1 history, when the truth of the matter was that they wanted a white champion to undermine Sir Lewis's greatness. They then doubled down on the greatest sporting scandal ever, by gifting Max 3 more FIA-enabled titles, to buttress his fake credentials. But 3 years of rising public resentment and plummeting viewing figures forced them to revise their plans. So, for this year they plotted to set up a 3-way title race purportedly between their fake champion and the 2 McLaren drivers, as we have outlined in previous videos. Oscar and his lagging teammate, who they had indefensibly placed on the ladder of greatness, were projected to engage in a tight battle for the title, thereby leaving the door open for the possibility of Max sneaking his 5th, as the McLarens take points off each other. However, with 8 races to go to the end of the season, it is clear that should the drivers be left to race to the title without any interference, Oscar will be the first McLaren champion since Sir Lewis. But alas, this does not align with F1's script of a 3-way or even a backup 2-way title run-in. Not to be deterred by the fact that the young Australian has put in the hard work and demonstrated the skill set to put the overhyped Bezzy mates of Belgian origin to the sword, F1 is now working hard to rein him back, because in their WWE American mindset, a title procession will negatively impact American public interest in the remaining races, 2 of which happen to be in America. McLaren, for their part, have long bent the knee to Liberty Media and led the whitewashing of Abu Dhabi. For their toadying, they were inducted into the inner circle and rewarded with an FIA-enabled championship-winning car last season. For revising his initial criticism of Abu Dhabi and becoming Marcy's leading advocate, Lando Norris was earmarked to be the first McLaren world champion since Lewis Hamilton. But under the pressure of competing against the dirtiest driver in F1 history, he fluffed his lines and, in the process, generated the viral moment in Hungary last year, when he misinterpreted Sir Lewis's compliment. When the GOAT attempted to compliment him in the cool-down room by saying "you guys are fast," he famously or infamously retorted that Hamilton's 6 titles at Mercedes were down to him driving the fastest car. It was clear for all to see that Lando's nose had been put out of joint because his newly appointed teammate, who debuted 2 years after Abu Dhabi, and was supposed to be the backup driver, had beaten him to victory, putting his scripted title race against his Bezzy mate under pressure. Unfortunately for him, he has been haunted by that outburst ever since, as he has gone on to prove conclusively and consecutively that it takes more than driving the fastest car to clinch the driver's title. It has always been clear from the lamestream F1 media coverage that he was the scripted challenger to his equally overhyped Bezzy mate. So, having both of them being dispatched by the 2023 rookie, whose debut did not attract anywhere near the attention that Sir Lewis's replacement at Mercedes did, was not part of F1's WWE script. Malone has done everything he possibly can to tarnish the reputation and integrity of the world's premier motorsport in some twisted plan to make it more attractive to an overindulged American audience. His attempt to use Max as some WWE Dick Dastardly-style character to generate more controversy to suit the American market has failed spectacularly, as has the scheduling of 2 of the last 6 races in America. The intention was that the American audiences would have been stimulated by the drama of the 2021-style ending to the season. But alas, every ending to the season after 2021 has been a procession. Perhaps the first 2 could be put down to the unintended consequences of their dastardly plot to fast-track the fake credentials of their supervillain. The third one could be attributed to the Arsenal-like tendency of the person they undeservedly placed on the ladder of greatness to fold under pressure like a Belgian waffle. But one thing is clear, despite Malone's misguided meddling, F1 is not wooing the American public like the Emperor intended. There is some irony or schadenfreude in the fact that the global appeal of Sir Lewis, who he is so desperate to undermine, is founded in part on his popularity in the US. Something which has long rankled with many of his British media critics. So, if Malone had not chosen to illegally replace the US media-friendly Hamilton with the unpopular Verstappen, perhaps F1 will be doing better in the US today. To make matters worse, the Las Vegas GP, which was supposed to be the jewel in Malone's crown, has bombed ever since it was reintroduced in 2023. F1 threw Malone's weight around to create a street race in the entertainment capital of the world, but alas, every race held there has failed to live up to the billing. Year after year hoteliers have been forced to eat the losses as interest which had been galvanized by the 2021 season fell away in the wake of the scandal and Max's unpopularity. Las Vegas is already reeling from plummeting visitors in the wake of Trump's immigration and tariff policies, so one can see how F1 is desperate to keep the hope of a title race alive. You can also see why they are desperate to manufacture controversies in a dastardly plan to generate public interest under the misguided notion that no publicity is bad publicity. Turning the greatest motorsport in the world into some WWE scripted entertainment didn't serve them well in 2021, and it will not serve them well now. It is instructive that Max's FIA-assisted record-breaking at the Temple of Speed was overshadowed by the McLaren team order debacle as they scrambled to implement the Emperor's wishes. It is also telling that Lando was roundly booed on the podium, so F1 have shot themselves in the foot yet again, because no one wanted to tell the Emperor he was naked. It will be interesting to see how Lando is treated whenever he is on the podium in the forthcoming races. It will also be interesting to see how he is received in the unlikely event that he wins the world title. But knowing him, it is more likely that public opprobrium will ignite his well-documented self-doubt and accelerate his implosion. At the very least, Liberty Media have succeeded in creating another character to share the stage of public villainy with Max Verstappen. Good thing they are busy mates. Forza Ferrari.